For Bill Parcells and the New York Jets, this has been a season of disappointment. Now they have to play the role of spoiler in the AFC East. The Miami Dolphins' lucky number 13, Dan Marino, looks to get the Dolphins back on the winning track as they vie for a playoff spot in the American Football Conference. It's the Dolphins and the Jets next. We welcome you to the Meadowlands in East Rutherford, New Jersey, just across the Hudson from Midtown Manhattan. Critical meeting for the Miami Dolphins as they try to fight for a playoff booth. Indianapolis still involved in a game with New England, and Buffalo and the Giants also still in progress. Good afternoon, everybody. Vern Lundquist along with Dan Deerdorf. Tough week for the Dolphins after the loss to the Colts last week, but Dan Marino seems to have found something.
Well, after that horrible performance on Thanksgiving Day, Vern, Dan Marino was back last week. Even though they lost, he threw for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, threw with accuracy, and more importantly, he showed no ill effects of that nerve injury in his shoulder. He'll have to throw well today. A couple of key injuries for the Dolphins. They'll be without their leading rusher, J.J. Johnson, and Dan's favorite go-to guy, O.J. McDuffie, both inactive today.
Really an awful week, Dan, for the Jets. They had a debacle against the Giants here. Bill Parcells used the A word this week.
He actually said that he was ashamed of his football team, that the effort they gave in that loss to the New York Giants. And he said, when asked, how will they play today? He said, I don't know, but I will tell you this. If they play poorly, the rebuilding starts tomorrow.
New York has won the toss, and they have elected to receive. Olindo Mare will kick off. For the Miami Dolphins, losers of 3 out of their last 4. First meeting of the season between these two teams. The Jets swept the season series a year ago. And a relatively balmy day for this late in the season, 45 degrees, partly cloudy, the humidity at 49%, and we have a no-show factor here. There are a lot of empty seats.
But I think really importantly for Miami, Vern, is the wind. This can be one of the trickiest stadiums in the league as far as throwing the football into the wind, and it's downright gentle today.
Dwight Stone at the goal line will bring it out at the age of 35, and he's got a lot of room. Mare bangs him out of bounds at the 45. Mare makes the tackle. Ray Lucas gets his 6th start for the season, 818 yards. You see 4 touchdowns and no interceptions last week, but a lot of that came very late in the game after the issue had been decided. 1st and 10 from the 45. Play fake on 1st down. Lucas going deep for Quebec. Surtain is covering him. And Bill Parcells telling us they desperately need big plays. Tries to get one on 1st down and 10. Offensive line has Elliott, Jenkins, Mawai, and Randy Thomas and Ryan Young on the right side. Curtis Martin and Richie Anderson in the backfield. Keyshawn Johnson and Wayne Corbett the wideouts, and Fred Baxter is the tight end. 2nd down and 10 from the 45-yard line.
Hey, we're going, Dave.
That's Keyshawn Johnson in motion. Play fake again. Screen pass to Keyshawn, left side. But not much there. Does a good job defensively by Derek Rogers, number 59. One of the linebackers, and we'll check the Miami defense that gave up a lot of yards last week in the loss to Indianapolis. Owens and Bowen joined Gardner and Taylor. And you saw Derek Rogers. He's joined by Zach Thomas and Robert Jones. And in the secondary, Patrick Surtain gets his 2nd start, having replaced Terrell Buckley. Marion back after a quadriceps injury. Sean Wooden at strong safety. And Brock Marion the other. Jimmy Johnson, 4th season as a head coach. 3rd and 11. Play fake for the 3rd time. Lucas. Keyshawn Johnson met and driven down short of the 1st down. It would appear about a yard short at the 46. Tackle made by Brock Marion.
And when Keyshawn caught that ball in full stride, Vern, I thought he was going to pick up the 1st down, but what an outstanding open field tackle by Brock Marion. Keyshawn, a big receiver. Normally, he has the benefit against the defensive back, and when he goes down, he falls forward. That time driven backwards by Marion. And guess what? Going to get a little drama right off the bat here.
4th and 1. When you are 4 and 8 at home, why not? Toss. Curtis Martin going left.
Ooh.
Oh, that's going to be close.
What a spot this will be.
Rodgers with the tackle. We'll see where the spot comes. It was a favorable spot. First down, Jets.
Has to get right to the 45-yard line, and that is a good spot of the football. Don't look at where Curtis Martin ended up after being driven back. Forward progress did indeed pick up the first down. So you're right. One of the luxuries of being 4 and 8 is very little to lose. That's why teams in this position are so dangerous, especially at home.
Curtis Martin with 6 carries for 4 yards last week in the loss. Gets the deep handoff here. Tries to cut back. Picks up about 3 at the 42-yard line. And Derek Rodgers, for the 3rd time here in the early going, makes the tackle. Martin over 1,000 yards again this season.
Check this out. This is Kerry Jenkins, the left guard, number 71. Look at him lock up with Zach Thomas, get away with illegal hands to the face, but mauls Zach Thomas. And keep in mind, where they ended up right there, folks, is about 12 yards downfield of where the tackle was made. Whoa.
Play fake again. Lucas lobs it out. Blocked by Curtis Martin at the 42. You have an appreciation for the Jenkins effort, I take it?
Yes, I most certainly do, against maybe the best run-defending linebacker in the game of football. Well, let's see how Keyshawn Johnson is doing. He's just coming across. Shallow little pattern across the middle, and that is called defensive holding, folks. That's Sam Madison, who got away with just a grab and a ride on Keyshawn Johnson.
Dedrick Ward on the field, and Keyshawn Johnson in motion. Followed by Wilson, who's blitzing. Lucas. Oh, fine catch by Johnson. Went down below his knee and grabbed it with his left hand.
Are you kidding me?
What a play!
Boy, this reminds me of the days when wide receivers used to be covered in stickum. Watch this stab with the left hand by Keyshawn Johnson, and that's about the only way to describe that. He just sticks out his left hand, whoop, brings it back. Oh, that's beautiful.
That is a gain of 12 and a first down at the 31-yard line. Johnson goes wide left. 66 catches coming in as he's closing in on a 1,000-yard season. This time the handoff goes to Martin, who is met and driven back by Robert Jones, number 52. And a final score, the Colts win again as they outlast New England by 5, 20-15, 11-2.
And New England, importantly, that is their 6th loss of the season now as they drop to 7-6. And drop might be the accurate word. New England in a bit of a free fall.
And the Giants leading Buffalo by 2 with 14 seconds to go in that one, having come from 1 down with a field goal in the last minute. Here's Lucas going for Johnson, left side, got it down! Oh, man! How do you figure this game?
Oh, Keyshawn, yep. Whip that baby off. Bill Parcells telling us Ray Lucas needs a couple big plays. He's doing a great job of taking care of the football, but for his confidence, I'd love to see him get a couple of big plays. Well, this certainly could have been one of them right here. Delivers the ball beautifully. Sam Madison way behind, beaten badly by Keyshawn, and that's just a drop, a plain old-fashioned drop.
3rd and 10. Dolphins bring 6. Lucas steps up, pumps once, down for 29. It will be 4th down. Sean Wooden, number 22. Rich Owens, 96.
John Hall is going to get a shot at a long field goal. And a good, steady, productive drive by the Jets, though, to open up this ball game, converting on a 4th down. And they had a touchdown if only Keyshawn could have held on to it.
47-yard effort to put the first points on the board. John Hudson snaps it, Tupa holds it, and John Hall kicks it wide right.
So a drive that features a dropped touchdown pass and now a missed field goal. That's why they're 4-8.
Dan Marino brings the Dolphin offense on the field for the first time. 9 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, but he got 3 of those touchdown passes last week in a terrific effort in the face of a loss to the Indianapolis Colts. 300-yard effort. First down at the 37. Keyshawn Johnson ruining the dropped pass after making a brilliant one-hand stab earlier in that drive. Here's play fake. Marino comes left, caught by Rob Conrad, the rookie fullback from Syracuse, and he is out of bounds at the 41-yard line. Knocked there by Mo Lewis. Now let's check the Dolphin offense. Webb, Dixon, Ruddy, Gogan, and James Brown is starting today. Stanley Pritchett and Rob Conrad open in the backfield. J.J. Johnson on the inactive list. Martin and Gadsden are the wideouts as O.J. McDuffie has to sit out his third consecutive game. Second down at 6 from the 41. Here is Stanley Pritchett, normally the starting fullback. And he gets guarded to the 45-yard line. Defensively for the New York Jets. Up front, it's Lyle, Logan, and Anthony Pleasant. The linebackers Lewis, Gordon, Jones, and Pfeiffer. Brian Cox on the injured reserve list. Glenn, Atwater, Green, and Coleman in the secondary. 3rd and 2, double tight end set. That's Conrad, number 44, in motion. Marino flips it to his tight end, Drayton, and he's got the first down. Just barely so. And another final from Western New York. The New York Giants come from behind and defeat Buffalo 19-17, a game of real consequence for the Dolphins.
Well, it certainly is. And let's go ahead and check out. Here are the updated standings down the AFC East. And Miami could not be happier that Buffalo beaten by the Giants. The Giants having their way with the East, mauling the Jets last week, and now doing it to Buffalo. But every Dolphins player looks up at the scoreboard and smiles at that one.
On first down 10, Marino, with a lot of time, finds his wide receiver, Yatil Green. Green inactive for the first 2 years, back-to-back ACL operations, and has really become a presence here in the middle of this season.
A physical presence. He had his best game ever last week when he had 5 receptions. He's a big guy at 6'2", 205. The play action to Pritchett, but outstanding protection. And that's the key to this play. Allows Yatil Green to come all the way across the field from the left side. Credit that Dolphins offensive line. That was excellent work of keeping the pass rush at bay.
Nate Jaquette is out wide to the right this time. Here is Pritchett going right, cutting back inside the 30 to the 29-yard line where Steve Atwater makes the tackle. Stanley Pritchett in his 4th year.
In his 4th year, but keep in mind, he is a blocker and a receiver. You see, coming into the 8 rushes coming into the season this year. He's had 1 in this game, but he only had 16 in his career prior to this. Stanley Pritchett, a real example of how far down the Dolphins are on their running back chart.
Second down and 8.
Autry Denson, really about the only true runner they have left on their active roster.
Marino looking left, pumps, flips it out to the safety valve, who is Pritchett. He's one-on-one with Dwight Gordon, number 54. Stanley Pritchett played 4 years at South Carolina. He was actually a tailback his junior and the beginning of his senior seasons. He started 3 games at tailback and then switched to fullback where he was drafted by the Dolphins. Now, Autry Denson is in.
He was pretty funny yesterday. Stanley telling us he didn't even tell his mother that he was moving over to tailback for the game today because he didn't want to jinx anything. He's a little nervous about this.
Third down. Dell Lee, just off the practice squad, is in as a dime back for the New York Jets. He wears number 35. And Omar Stoutmire also there. Here's Marino. There's Pritchett. And that is a first down Miami at the 17-yard line. Victor Green, James Ferrier with the tackle.
Well, James Ferrier gave Stanley Pritchett way too much room. You know Pritchett is the guy, if it's not downfield, it is coming to Stanley for sure. And you can see right there, Ferrier commits way too much to the sideline. Really makes it easy for Stanley to cut back to the middle of the field. Stanley Pritchett is the guy that when Dan Marino does not find Martin, Gadsden, or Green downfield, he will get the football.
Autry Denson in the backfield, the all-time leading rusher at Notre Dame, signed off the Tampa practice squad. He goes out in the flat, the pass to Drayton. Gordon with the tackle, but that's yardage to the 10-yard line.
This is the same Dan Marino, Vern, that we saw last week.
5 of 5, now 6 of 6 in the ball game. Last week, Joe Namath's guarantee in Super Bowl III was voted the NFL's 8th most memorable moment. This week, find out what's at number 7, and you'll find it only on NFL.com. Conrad and Denson in the backfield on 2nd and 2. Autry Denson with his first carry in the NFL. And the Dolphins have the football at the 7-yard line.
The Dolphins signed Autry Denson immediately upon the trade of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and they wouldn't have traded Kareem if they didn't think they could get Autry Denson off of the practice squad of the Bucs. Jimmy Johnson really likes him, likes everything about him, likes his blitz pickups, his feel for the passing game, and thinks he's got a real future with the Dolphins.
First and goal at the 7, scoreless first quarter thus far. Richard and Conrad in the backfield. Here's Marino, quick setup, left side, incomplete, intended for Gadsden. And Marcus Coleman, who was getting his first start against Dan Marino, was there to defend the pass.
Well, here's one of the reasons the Jets love Marcus Coleman, because he's such a big guy. Number 42 is 6'2", 210. Now, Gadsden's a big receiver at 6'2", and you might get a mismatch with a lot of the smaller corners in the league. But Coleman was able to get up there, but in reality, Dan Marino put that ball right on the hands of Gadsden. If he's able to hold on, that would have been a TD.
Now the 11th play of the drive on 2nd and goal. Pritchett trying to find help on the right side, and he is stuck at the 6-yard line. Rick Lyle, Marvin Jones. Jones having a superb year in spite of the disastrous season that the Jets find themselves in.
Even in that debacle last week against the Giants, it's hard to criticize the effort that Marvin Jones turned in. He played the entire football game, and if everybody would have played to the level he did, it wouldn't have been such a rout.
3rd and goal. Tony Martin breaks off wide to the right. Yatiel Green is wide left. Out of the shotgun. Here comes the blitz. Marino goes left for Green, and Coleman is there defensively. Timed it perfectly.
It's a gamble when you hit the guy this close to the arrival of the ball. From that angle, it's a microsecond early. But in reality, as you get closer to the goal line, the more often you will not draw a call for a hit like that. That was really an excellent hit, timing-wise, by Marcus Coleman.
24-yard effort for Olindo Mare. Out of the hold of Damon Heward, and with that field goal, Mare has hit a single-season record for the Miami Dolphins. That's his 32nd of the year. He breaks the mark he shared with Pete Stoyanovich.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl. The smooth, satisfying taste of Michelob Light, beer or Michelob Light, and by Chrysler, giving you back the romance of driving.
Jet defenders needing a rest. They were on the field for 13 plays. The Dolphins strike for the first points of the game. Olindo Mare, a 24-yard field goal, and is now chasing the all-time record field goals made in the season. John Casey, 37. And the second kickoff from Murray. Whitestone grabs this one at the 4. and it's recovered by Miami. Ray Hill with the hit, number 28. Derek Rogers got the pigskin.
Well, Mike Westhoff is the special teams coach of the Miami Dolphins, and he's one of the best in the league. And you know they preach turnovers, turnovers, turnovers. Stone's trying to get up into the middle, and he's in the air. And when he does not have his feet on the ground, let's see if both feet are off the ground. Yep, and there comes the left hand of Ray Hill and knocks the football loose. And I don't know what it is a lot of times when a guy's got his feet off the ground, for some reason his grip on the ball tends to loosen up.
That is only the 4th fumble lost this year by the Jets. 4. Here's Marino going for a bunch for Green, incomplete. And this time it was Steve Atwater and Roman Pfeiffer who were there defensively as Yatil Green went up to make the grab.
Roman Pfeiffer played with the Rams last year, and one of the things he does so well is cover real estate. Roman Pfeiffer can flat run. And take a look, he's going stride for stride with Yatil Green, but once again, look how sharp Dan was in delivering the football. Hit Yatil Green right in both hands.
Yatil Green comes wide left on 2nd and 10. Marino settles for the safety valve, and Pritchett goes down and makes the grab. Victor Green with the tackle. Stanley Pritchett. Primary role other than blocking back has been as a receiver out of the backfield.
Remember the old days of the NFL, Vern, where the fullback was just a lead blocker? Like, your hands of stone. The offensive linemen used to tease fullbacks saying, we got better hands than you guys do. Now in the modern era of the National Football League, a fullback always seems to be your 2nd or 3rd leading receiver on the football field.
3rd and 3. Handoff Pritchett. Driven down as he gets to the 15-yard line. And Olindo Mare will come on to attempt his 2nd field goal here in the 1st quarter.
I don't think it's going to take the Jets very long to figure out that when Dan Marino does hand the ball off, he's not giving it to anybody that can really do a whole lot of damage to the Jets defensively. Maybe Denson might be able to spring something big, but the Dolphins have entered this game with really 0 rushing threat for our big play.
This one comes from 33 yards out, and it is drilled perfectly down the middle. So a long drive capped by 3 points, a fumble and a fumble recovery capped by 3 points. Dolphins lead by 6. 4 o'clock Eastern.
I love our basketball music.
You think you do?
Yes.
Stirs your emotion?
Well, I love college basketball, and it's kind of just a signal that it's time to get ready.
You watched both games yesterday. Here's the kickoff from Mare coming to the near side. And Aaron Glenn is out of bounds at the 32-yard line. Kevin Donnelly rides the bike here at the Meadowlands.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by NASDAQ, the stock market for a digital world, and by Microsoft. Where do you want to go today?
1 minute to go, 1st quarter, and let's check in with Bonnie Bernstein.
Hi, Vern. Miami's defense was so livid last week after losing to the Colts. They called a players-only meeting on Monday. And Trace Armstrong stood up. He said, guys, we're not focusing. We're just going through the motions, and we're flat out missing assignments. Zach Thomas said, you know, everybody misses a tackle, but we've never had it handed to it like that. And when a man's beaten down, his pride makes him rise up.
All right, Bonnie. Here's Curtis Martin going left. This time they don't miss a tackle. And Martin is down to the 35-yard line. Friday on CBS, the show that is fascinating America is back with an all-new episode. And someone is going to discover the truth behind America's newest secret weapon. It's an all-new Now and Again Friday on CBS. 2nd and 7, Dan Marino, who is off to a nice start. His team leading 6-0. Here's Ray Lucas rolling out, firing it, caught by Dedrick Ward, and that's going to be close for a 1st down at the 42-yard line. Patrick Surtain defending. Now, Zach Thomas told us yesterday that he thought Kevin Mawai held a lot. Listen to this.
He goes to the umpire at the start of every game.
Deuce! Hey, watch that hose, man. This guy holds more than anybody I know. Okay, let me know when I get in your way.
That's Chad Brown, the umpire. And Zach goes to the umpire at the start of every game and complains about the center. Of course, he's referring to Kevin Mawai.
Here's the run by Martin around the right side.
And
Zach
Zach,
with the 48.
and Zach Thomas continuing a long line of linebackers that have never been blocked in their entire life.
We have quickly reached the end of one here at the Meadowlands. And the Miami Dolphins lead 6-0. Welcome back to East Rutherford, New Jersey. We get set for the start of the second quarter. Jets, Dolphins, Vern Lundquist, Dan Deerdorf, and Bonnie Bernstein. Ray Lucas had a touchdown pass dropped by Keyshawn Johnson on the opening drive of the game. He tosses this one to Curtis Martin. Martin with a cutback play, and Lucas out to try and provide a block. And Lucas does provide a little help on Sam Madison. Martin across the 50 and gets it to the 45, maybe the 46. Patrick Surtain with a tackle.
When people have success running against Miami, it is because of the cutback. Now, this certainly is an exaggeration of a cutback, but such tremendous team speed on the part of the Dolphins. And Curtis Martin, a guy in the past who's exploited it. Take 2 steps one direction, come back, and if someone's not honoring their lane, you can pick up some nice yardage.
Ball is spotted at the 46, first and 10. Deep handoff to Martin, who breaks the first tackle and squirts inside the 45, down to the 43. Next Saturday, the NFL on CBS puts on a special Saturday showdown. Jerome Bettis and the Steelers will battle Elvis Gerbach and the Kansas City Chiefs. It all gets started with Jim, Craig, Randy, and Jerry on the NFL Today. Then Bonnie, Dan, and I will be at Arrowhead in Kansas City mode. Second down and 7.
I like all the stadiums. Some are a lot of fun, and Arrowhead is one of those places.
And has been that way since constructed in 72. Martin coming left. Nothing there this time. He loses a couple back to the 45. Now, last week, those 6 carries for 4 yards, a career low for Curtis Martin. Today, 21 yards.
Well, keep in mind that the Giants climbed up on the Jets 17-0 very early, and any effort to run the football for the Jets ended right there. And the 4 touchdown passes for Ray Lucas, 3 of those were after the game was over. It was a full-blown mugging last week by the Giants.
3rd and 8, blitz coming. Lucas back, Taylor coming at him. Lucas down the middle and dropped by Sean Wooden. Had it right in the midsection.
And there is the type of mistake that a young quarterback makes, because there isn't anyone in a green jersey anywhere near this football. It's way over the top. That ball is 10 yards over the head of Wayne Krebet. And very fortunate for the Jets that was an interception.
Tom Tupa on to punt for the first time. And Terrell Buckley is the return man. He has pitched his 10 at the 10-yard line.
Pitched his 10.
Nice save. Oh, wow. Chris Hayes, who is a special team star for the Jets, knocked that one out of the end zone legally, and the ball is down at the 3.
That's perfect. That's just perfect.
12:44 to go, first half of play. Dolphins have it, but they've got 95 yards, 96 yards between themselves and the goal line after that fine play by Chris Hayes. Pritchett and Conrad. Backs in the eye. Here's Stanley Pritchett testing in the middle for 1 yard after the 5. James Ferrier, number 58. makes the tackle. Let's check in with Bonnie Bernstein.
Well, folks, if you've noticed, the most vocal leader of the Jets defense is not on the field. Linebacker Brian Cox had surgery on Friday to repair a torn muscle in his lower abdomen. He had been taking painkillers for the last couple of weeks, but Bill Parcells said, you know, it just got to the point where he was being counterproductive. He only had 2 solo tackles in the last 3 games, and he said, I'd rather have him have surgery now so he could start getting better for next season. Vern.
Okay, Bonnie. Here's the handoff to Pritchett again for 3 yards out near the 9. Now, we talked with Dan Marino last night. Said, will you miss Brian Cox?
And he said, no. He's a friend of mine, but sometimes it's, and like even Dan Marino, now that he plays for another team, says, you know something, the guy's a friend of mine.
And we wish him well in his recovery period. He underwent surgery at the University of Massachusetts. Shotgun, flags down.
Yeah, false starts, I think.
This will come back.
And give the crowd an assist on this one.
Before the snap, false start, offense, number 76. Half of this is to the goal. It's still 3rd down.
That's James Brown, the right tackle. James Brown missed the start last week. That little flinch there at right tackle does it. We mentioned Brian Cox not being here for the Jets defensively. The way you pressure Dan Marino the most effectively is up the middle. And that is where the Jets missed Brian Cox. And Bill Belichick, their defensive coordinator, loses his best pass rushing linebacker in Brian Cox, who's especially adept at rushing between the guards.
3rd and 10, Marino. Right side for Conrad. Dwight Gordon was trailing him. And the pass is incomplete. Dwayne Gordon, number 54.
Well, Dan Marino had no choice but to go over the top because that was a good job by Gordon. And you certainly don't take a chance of turning it over at that end of the field. That was a nice stand defensively by the Jets. They needed it.
Dedrick Ward at the 44. Here's Tommy Hutton. And Ward moves up to grab it at the 39. Jets will have good field position at the 37-yard line. That's a 35-yard punt and 4 on the return. New York trailing by 6.
Yes, Friday.
10:55 to go, first half. Miami leads the Jets 6-0. And New York has a first down at the 36-yard line after a fine defensive stand inside the 10. Bill Parcells, tough week.
But touched this week because some of his former players called. One in particular, Jim Burt, actually paid a visit out to his office.
Here's Lucas to Keyshawn Johnson. And that's enough to move the chain at the 25-yard line. Monday on CBS, and you thought you've had trouble picking out the perfect gift for your parents. Wait till you see what Raymond goes through. All new Christmas episode of Everybody Loves Raymond, Monday on CBS. Gain of 11 after the catch from Keyshawn Johnson, his 4th grab of the first half of play. Here's Lucas, quick setup, comes left, is dropped by Fred Baxter, number 84. Rock Marion was there, but that's a should have.
Yeah, Ray threw this thing. He put a little too much air underneath this thing. Again, it would have been a good catch, but it's not where Ray Lucas wanted to put the football. Not behind and that high. On a relatively short pass like that, you don't want to make your tight end have to leave the ground to make an effort to try to catch it.
On second down, that's Johnson in motion. And the handoff deep goes to Curtis Martin. He plunges to the 20-yard line. Zach Thomas, number 54, with the tackle on Curtis Martin.
We were talking about Bill Parcells and how he was really shaken this week because the effort for his football team, it just wasn't there last week. They just really rolled over. And Bill said it hasn't happened to me in a long time. It's the first time it happened to me here at the Jets. And as a coach, you start to doubt yourself a little bit. Well, why aren't they responding to me? And some of Bill's friends chimed in this week and said we believe it meant a lot to him.
Here's the pass. Caught by Keyshawn Johnson at the 15-yard line. A defensive effort from Calvin Jackson, number 38.
And that ought to be a first down. If that spot is as accurate as it looked like from here, it's a good job by Keyshawn of holding on. Watch the pop he takes here. He's off balance and really isn't able to protect himself. Going to bring out the chains, but the initial spot looked like it was there. Burn the tension.
These nervous moments don't become you.
First down.
Good call.
Well, I think Keyshawn did most of the work.
That's a first down at the 15.
I would think that Keyshawn is still feeling that he's got a few makeups to get done here in this first half. Opening possession for New York, if you weren't with us, he was wide open, and Ray Lucas delivered a perfect strike to him, and he dropped it, and it would have been a touchdown.
Time called, and a discussion taking place at the 17-yard line.
Ed Hockley is our referee today. Ed, did you see Ed go to his waist, making sure his microphone was turned off? He didn't want Jimmy on the PA.
Miami is challenging the ruling on the field that the receiver had possession of the ball for a completed pass before it came loose.
Well,
that means Ed Hockley gets a chance to go under the hood.
And let's go back and take a look at this. We were certainly looking at the spot. Well, that angle, from what little we could see of the football, looked like Keyshawn had it. From that, he's got possession of that football. Again, let's do it one more time. A third angle. You got to demonstrate possession, both feet down. Certainly the hit dislodges the football, but I think after Keyshawn Johnson is down, I'd be pretty shocked if Ed Hockley is in a position to overturn the call on the field, which was completed catch.
And back to the phrase which we've uttered so many times this year, indisputable visual evidence to overturn the initial call.
Have you seen it?
No. No. Neither have I. And I've been looking for it for a long, long time.
Well, I'm talking about this play in particular. Keyshawn has it. Certainly the hit dislodges the football. Calvin Jackson puts a real stroke on Keyshawn Johnson, but given the fact that the ruling on the field is a completion.
That's one of two coaches' challenges allowed, Jimmy Johnson.
Now Ed's taken a long, hard look at this. He's conversing with the people up in the replay booth. He was under that hood longer than I would have thought. Been surprised before.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands as called. The pass was caught. The runner's knees were down before the ball came loose. Results in a first down. Miami is charged with a timeout.
I'm really surprised that Miami went ahead and challenged that, because I thought that was fairly open and shut. I'm not hardly a know-all, see-all, but I didn't really see much of an opening there where Miami could get that reversed.
And that leaves the Dolphins with 2 timeouts and 9:03 to go before the halftime break. Look at that, dead last in the AFC in production inside the 20-yard line. Here's Lucas. Sets up, goes right, and it's caught by Eric Green. He had 2 touchdowns last week in the loss to the Giants, but it has been an unbelievably non-productive season for Eric Green.
Joining a long list of unproductive seasons for Eric Green in different places. Of course, Eric Green, formerly a Pittsburgh Steeler, formerly a Miami Dolphin. when Jimmy Johnson first took over the Miami Dolphins, for several years, he had several $1 million each year in a salary cap hit for Harry Green.
Here's the handoff to Martin. Driven down behind the line of scrimmage. Excellent pursuit from Sam Madison, number 29.
Sam Madison doesn't really have the reputation, Vern, as a great run support guy. He's really an outstanding cover guy, and with 7 interceptions, certainly a ball hawk. But he's not a kill shot artist when it comes up to supporting the run. And that time, that was outstanding on Madison's part.
And that brings up a 3rd and 5, just outside the 10-yard line. Bernie Parmalee is in, along with Quinn Early and Dedrick Ward now. Johnson in the slot to the right side. Lucas looking his way into the end zone. Clock should have been picked off. Terrell Buckley had a shot at it. And Parmalee, the intended receiver, I believe, Keyshawn Johnson, was also in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood.
Well, I was going to say Keyshawn Johnson is there in the slot, number 19. And all the way outside is Parmalee, and I'm not sure who this is going for. It actually hits Parmalee, but I'm not sure Keyshawn Johnson was where he was supposed to be. That's you're drawing a lot of people to the intended receiver if that was the case. That looked like a busted route.
John Hall was wide right from 47 on the opening drive of the game. Cooper with the hold, and Hall knocks this one home. So the Jets on the board. 7:35 to go first half. 6-3 Miami.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by 989 Sports. Made by the pros, played by the pros. Zale, the Diamond Store. And by Campbell's Chunky. Soup that eats like a meal.
Dolphins still lead it 6-3, 7:35 to go in the first of 2 games between these 2 teams. John Hall getting ready to kick off, having authored the 28-yard field goal. So Hall now 1 of 2 in the ball game. Brock Marion, number 31, is the deep man.
Keep in mind, Brock Marion pulled the quadricep last week in that game against Indianapolis and wasn't able to play in the second half. Had a great game returning kickoffs, and down the stretch, Miami really missed the fact that Brock Marion wasn't in the lineup, especially late in the game when Marvin Harrison burned him on a couple big pass plays. Marion was having to sit it out.
This one, a low line drive kick that hops and is picked up by Brock Marion at the 8-yard line. Flags are thrown. Don Carey, the back judge. And this conversation will continue for a moment.
Chad Brown, the umpire, comes on over. And may have multiples here. I don't know.
There was not a holding foul on the play as the player made the tackle. First down.
There was not a holding call because the player made the tackle. I throw the flag for incomplete explanation.
Of the U.S. Open.
Right there on the right side of your screen, that's Scott Frost of the Jets. He's being held by Hunter Goodwin, and he makes the tackle. Ed explained it that the guy holding makes the tackle. In a strange rule in the NFL, they pick up the flag if you ended up making the tackle. And I need somebody, if it's a foul, it's a foul.
Stanley Pritchett trying to circle to the outside and does. Big run, Stanley Pritchett. 25-yard scamper. Steve Atwater finally got there to make the tackle.
Well, this is just straight ahead lead blocking. Rod Conrad, the fullback. But the key was that pinned inside on the left side, Obogu does not get containment. And Stanley Pritchett, who, again, does not have tailback speed, this guy is a fullback. When he's able to get around the corner, you know you had a defensive blow.
Marino with a modest play fake, flips it out to Pritchett. Marvin Jones is the first there and slows him up so that James Ferrier can come in and complete the tackle. The NFL playoffs are just around the corner. Get a complete review of every team as they battle for playoff positions. Just click on NFL at cbs.sportsline.com. Loss in the play of 4, second down and 14.
And that would have been a ball maybe better off if Stanley Pritchett would have dropped it. It wasn't a very good throw by Dan. Way back behind Pritchett, who had to go back and in the process of saving it, had no upfield momentum.
Audrey Denson in the backfield. Marino comes to the right side. And that catch is made at the 37-yard line. Aronde Gadsden, number 36, who gets another start today because O.J. McDuffie is out with a sprained toe.
Well, Aronde Gadsden, who had a big week last week, 6 catches, over 100 yards and a touchdown. And again, another big receiver at 6'2". And that's just, I think that is so pretty, the way a receiver like that works the sidelines and keeps his feet together and the body control to make sure you get them both inbound.
He and Martin both over 100 yards last week in the loss. This time Marino comes right incomplete. Marcus Coleman pleading for an intentional grounding call.
The Jets are screaming for it. And there was nobody from Miami. And there is the flag. And that's a good call. The rule states if you are avoiding a sack, if your intent is to avoid a sack and throw it away while you're in the pocket, there's got to be somebody there. And obviously his blood pressure rising a little bit. And Ed Hockley, the referee, did not throw the flag initially, but after consultation, threw it well after the play. Now Dan Marino is in the pocket. Finds nobody. And, of course, we don't have anybody even in the frame. That is an outstanding call by the officiating crew after consulting with one another.
And it, of course, includes loss of down, so Tom Hutton comes on to punt for the second time. Dedrick Ward inside the 15-yard line.
But, Vern, that's a very good example of how a crew consults with one another. Who had the good looks? Who can tell me what you saw? And afterwards saying, hey, you know what? This was a penalty.
Here is Hutton. Nice and high. A fair catch called by Dedrick Ward, so a very effective punt. It does come down at the 20-yard line. Time call.
CBS is sponsored by the United States Army. Be all you can be. And by Gateway. Call Gateway and connect with us.
It's a wonderful time of the year to be in this city. And the Christmas tree at Rockefeller Center, of course, a focal point of a lot of the festivities.
It's a wonderful time to be in the city if you're already in the city.
Did you thought we spent a little too much time looking at the skyline last night waiting to get into the tunnel?
It was a long trip. Santa is
full of Christmas cheer.
Feeling frisky this afternoon.
From the 20, first and 10, 6-3 ball game. Lucas dancing to the right, fires it, caught by Keyshawn Johnson. And he's out of bounds at the 37-yard line, a gain of 17. Sean Wooden was there defensively.
Well, Ray Lucas buys time by his mobility. And Keyshawn, this is just nothing fancy about this. This is nothing more than an athletic quarterback who got on the move and bought himself the time to find an open receiver. I like Ray Lucas. Every time I see this guy, I like him more than the time I saw him before, Vern. He's really, really working hard to find a permanent home here in New York.
And he has gone now 3 games without an interception. This one for Keyshawn Johnson. And Keyshawn claiming he was inhibited by Sam Madison.
Well, he and Sam Madison were locked up. They were just all over each other. Now, keep in mind, Sam Madison has the right to a position on the field as well. And actually, that's Keyshawn Johnson, who could have been called for offensive interference as far as Madison's attempt to get after the football. That may have been a good no flag.
No harm, no foul?
Yeah, but it was, if anybody was grabbing more than another, it was Keyshawn.
Yep, they might not. Oh, they do beat the play clock. Here's Lucas, screen pass. Right side for Parmalee. And he is down at the 33. Tuesday on CBS, it's a very special holiday jag when a visit to Christmas past makes for a story of romance and adventure. That is Tuesday on CBS.
Ray Lucas being really animated and yelling over to the Jets bench. I don't know if the play is coming into him late, if he's having trouble with the speakers inside his helmet and not receiving the play, but he was really barking over to the Jets bench about getting me the play quicker. He had to rush to get that in, and I think that's why it ended up being a busted play.
3rd and 14. This one caught by Trebek. And he will come down just short of the first down at the 45-yard line, a gain of 12, and they needed 2 more. And that is going to bring Tom Tupa back on the field for the 2nd time today. As we get under the 4-minute mark of the first half, Terrell Buckley drifting back to await the punt.
Terrell Buckley, who's been reduced to nickelback status here for the Dolphins after losing his starting job to Patrick Surtain.
At the 14 for Buckley. At the 10 for Buckley.
That worked out well.
Bernie Parmalee with the tackle. Now the playoff clock keeps ticking, and next Sunday the NFL on CBS there with a doubleheader for you. First, Junior Seau and the Chargers take a run at Dan Marino and the Dolphins, and in the nightcap, Keyshawn Johnson drives the Jets into Dallas to take on Troy Aikman and the Cowboys. It will start with Jim, Craig, Randy, and Jerry Glanville. Remarkably, that's only the first regular season visit by the Jets to Dallas in 71.
Is it really?
Yes.
Has it been that long?
It's an anomaly in the schedule.
Nice work.
1st and 10. Stanley Pritchett. Nothing. Bobby Hamilton and Dwayne Gordon with the tackle. Yards. Getting a workout today. Again, if you did join us late, J.J. Johnson tried to go this week, but in practice on Friday, a hamstring, so he is on the inactive list. Cecil Collins, of course, out with a bad ankle and a broken fibula. And so they move Pritchett over to the starting spot. Autry Denson is the only other running back, tailback on the roster. Here's the flip out left, and Pritchett, Dwayne Gordon is there for the tackle. Gordon, who starts today because Brian Cox is not playing.
And you know, Vern, the running back situation for Miami really is critical as they're making a drive here for the playoffs, because Cecil Collins was a guy that they're really counting on to have back. His bone's going to end up being healed, but there's a question as to how severely his ankle was hurt. And Cecil Collins not even back jogging yet for the Dolphins. And I'm not sure that Stanley Pritchett is as good a fullback as he is. I'm not sure he's the tailback they want as they enter the playoffs.
3rd and 7 from the 13. Marino comes right, low, and a little bit behind Autry Denson.
Oh, late flag.
At the quarterback. Roughing.
Whoa.
Oh, personal foul.
Against Miami. Well, there's a whole lot of talking here now.
Wow.
Ed Hockley is the guy that he threw the flag. I believe that he threw the flag back at the
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness by the offense, number 76. That penalty is enforced half the distance to the goal. By rule, the down counts, and it's fourth down because the foul happened after an incomplete pass.
This is James Brown right here, number 76. Now there's nobody near him right now. Oh, he goes in and he takes a shot at Ernie Logan, number 93, and knocks him flat. You know, you're allowed to knock defensive linemen down. I guess Ed Hocula is saying it was too far after the play was over.
So on fourth down, here is Dedrick Ward returning the punt inside the 35. He's down at the 33-yard line. We have reached the 2-minute warning at the Meadowlands. Actually, 1:51 left. Very well.
Yeah, the effort is here today. And remember what he said, if I don't see it, the rebuilding process starts tomorrow. They've got the ball at the 33-yard line. They've got all three of their timeouts. At the very least, they've got an excellent opportunity to tie this thing up before the end of the half, and maybe with a touchdown take the lead.
Lucas on first down. Scrambles through a lot of room. Out of bounds at the 21. Sam Madison was there, but Lucas picks up 12.
Takes a look downfield, plants. He's got a good look by his line. That's good pass protection. Ray Lucas leaves the pocket on his own, not forced to run. And, of course, the Dolphins, who like to play a lot of man coverage, a lot of times when a quarterback leaves the backfield, nobody sees him because they've all got their back turned.
First down and 10. And they slip the ball to Curtis Martin, picks up 2 to the 18-yard line. 1:35 away from the NASDAQ halftime report with Jim, Craig, Randy, and Jerry. Scores and highlights from a very significant weekend in the National Football League as we work our way toward the playoffs. And this is a very important game. Jets all but eliminated. They're trying to finish respectably and act the role of a spoiler. But Miami, and here's the pass into the end zone for Bett, who dropped one at the end of the game in the loss to New York 2 weeks ago and had a couple misfortunate catches last week. Drops this one.
Well, Wayne Corbett is split all the way out to the right. Curtis Martin was split out all the way to the other side. And Curtis Martin is locked up with Terrell Buckley one-on-one and kind of gets away with a little push-off against Buckley. Boy, that's a great throw by Ray Lucas. Look how he drops that right in there. And it looked like Wayne misjudged the arrival of the ball. He had his hands outstretched, and the ball actually kind of hits him by the elbows.
Here comes the blitz. Lucas caught by Quinn Early. Sean Wooden with the tackle, and that is short of the first down. Time called by Miami.
Hungry? Grab a Snickers. Peanuts, caramel, and chocolate. That ought to hold you. Hungry? Grab a Snickers!
Jimmy Johnson's Dolphins have used 2 of their 3 timeouts. One they lost on the challenge. Coming up at halftime, the NASDAQ halftime report. Jim, Craig, Randy, and Jerry with scores and highlights from around the league.
And with a full 2 yards to go for the first down, I think Bill Parcells wisely sends out John Hall. I know one thing about Bill Parcells. He's a guy over the years that loves fakes. Fake punts, fake field goals. He likes trick plays.
Tom Tupa is the holder. He, of course, the backup quarterback. Hold is down. Hall's kick is up and through. So, Bill Parcells' Jets have notched it. We're tied at 6. And Dan Marino and the Dolphins find themselves in a tussle. John Hall getting ready to kick off. Brock Marion goes back to return this kickoff effort. Dolphins meet the Jets in a Monday night back in Miami in a couple of weeks. Next week they're back home against San Diego, and then Miami closing out the season in what could be a very important game at Washington. Redskins winners earlier today.
Well, that's a game that could have fallout, obviously, in both conferences.
Marion at the goal line. Down at the 18. Casey Daly, number 94, with the tackle. And he received the congratulations of Chris Hayes.
I know on that final weekend of the season, it's always fun to have games within a division. Maybe a division championship is at stake. But every now and then you get lucky with a battle between teams from the AFC and the NFC. And there's that last game there, January 2nd. That could be one of those deals that determines maybe more than just the Dolphins and the Redskins as far as some teams being in and some being out.
Out of the shotgun, Marino gets the snap from Tim Ruddy. Caught and dropped. James Ferrier was the first there. Number 58, his second sack of the season. Parcells wants his team to use one of their timeouts. They've stopped the clock with 41 seconds to go.
That's right. That changes the strategy because now you're thinking a punt and maybe I'll get some good field position. Ferrier comes back to the inside on a line stunt. He lined up at a defensive end and he loops back to the middle, and James Ferrier picks up his second sack of the season right here, coming on around. That's what we call a TE. The tackle loops to the outside, the end loops back to the inside. And really a well-executed line stunt.
Tonight on 60 Minutes, the Pentagon does not want to talk about it, but 60 Minutes does. Gays in the military. That's tonight on 60 Minutes.
Dan Marino, in his lack of mobility in escaping the pocket laterally, it's no secret in this league that the way you're effective pressuring Dan is right up the middle, because he's not going to get away from you by taking off and sprinting for one of the sidelines. And that was good use of the middle rush and the middle pressure by the Jets.
2nd and 19, draw play. No. Yes. How about that for a missed tackle?
How was that for 2 missed tackles? Geez, that's Bill Belichick he had the right call. Stanley Pritchett's draw goes right into the teeth of the blitz called by Bill Belichick, and missed tackles, and they get away with it. Take a look at this coming right up the middle. There's Pfeiffer right there. It's a good solid hit by Dwayne Gordon, and he doesn't wrap up. And finally Mo Lewis has to chase him down from behind. As a coach, all you can do is put him in the right position. All you can do is give your guys a chance to succeed. From that point on, it's up to them to execute.
Jets use another timeout. They have one left. And a 3rd down and 8 coming up now from the 22-yard line for the Miami Dolphins. Tony Martin comes wide to the right side. Del Lee comes out to defend him. Steps up, lets it fly, caught. And the catch is made for the first down at the 46-yard line of Ronde Gadsden. A 25-yard gain for Miami.
And I think Dan takes the last timeout. That's the Dolphins' final timeout of the first half. Keep in mind they lost one when they unsuccessfully challenged a play with replay. So the Jets now all of a sudden having to defend from Miami getting in position for a field goal of their own.
Dolphins cannot stop the clock. They are now out of timeouts. Gadsden's second catch And he is fresh from a 100-yard receiving afternoon last week in the loss to Indianapolis.
What's tricky here, Vern, is if they complete a pass over the middle of the field, in 21 seconds, can Dan Marino get up there and spike the football? I'm not sure they have enough time to do that.
Yateel Green in the slot. Martin wide to the left. Here comes the blitz from the New York Jets. And they got to Marino again. Mo Lewis and Roman Pfeiffer.
And Bill Belichick has been to more than a couple rodeos, and he is not going to sit back and let Dan Marino survey some soft zone defense and let him plant his feet and look downfield.
On what should be the final play of the half. It's knocked down in the line of scrimmage by Dorian Boose, number 97. We have reached the halftime break. Let's check in with Bonnie Bernstein.
All right, Vern, thank you. Jimmy, I think with your injuries to your running backs, a lot of people thought you'd throw all day in New York. What do you think of your offensive balance so far?
Well, the problem, we had a chance to get some points down there. We got the illegal grounding, and that really hurt us right there. The other thing is our field position has been such, we hadn't been able to move the ball off of our goal line. We've given them good field position. That's how they got the field goals.
You've seen just in the last couple of minutes, New York turn the defensive pressure on. How do you adjust?
Well, we just got to block them. They're running a pick stunt inside, trying to block one of our guys off and doing a linebacker around, and so we got to pick that up.
All right, Jimmy, thanks. Vern?
All right, Bonnie, that is the end of the first half. Our score, 6-6, Miami and the Jets. Coming up on the NASDAQ halftime report, Jim Nantz will get you caught up on all the scores and highlights from today's action. It's all coming up on the NASDAQ halftime report.
Halftime Report is sponsored by the NASDAQ Stock Market.
Hi, everybody. Jim Nantz with you here on the NASDAQ Halftime Report from Studio 43 in New York. We're going to get you caught up on all the scores with Craig, Randy, and Jerry. Let's begin here with the game you're enjoying. All field goals over at the Meadowland. 6-6 Miami and the Jets at halftime. Meanwhile, out in Seattle, Todd Peterson just kicked his third field goal of the game. And the touchdown there for the Chargers, the only touchdown of the game, Natron Means from a yard out. He's back after missing 6 weeks after a knee operation. Chargers beat them earlier this year, and they lead now. They've just reached halftime at the Kingdome. Meanwhile, Lions were up 10-0. Sean King, the rookie, threw a touchdown pass a few minutes back, and the Bucs are within 3. Meanwhile, here's how they stand in the Central. Detroit and Tampa, such a huge game, playing for first in that division. Minnesota, then Green Bay with a loss today, is back at 7-6. And look at the 49ers. Their defense has stepped up today. They're trying to end an 8-game losing streak. Atlanta, 87 yards in the first half, and they were sacked for a safety. Earlier, the Colts won for the 9th time in a row, Randy Cross. How did they do it?
Well, they did a lot of things differently. Here, a shovel pass, Peyton Manning to Edgerrin James, gives them a 14-6 lead. The fans weren't too thrilled in Indianapolis, but Drew Bledsoe here trying to lead his team back at 20-9. Gets a touchdown in to Sean Jefferson, but his last gasp effort after this fell short.
We're still breathing, and we're, like I said, we need help to get in now. If we could have won out, then it, probably control our own destiny in that situation. But we need help to get in. But regardless, you're going to see great effort from this team for the last 3 games, regardless of what our situation is.
Drew says we need help. Meanwhile, the Colts will have a playoff berth today if Miami loses, or Seattle loses, or Kansas City loses tonight. Meanwhile, the Bills fell on the game's final play. The Giants won it with a field goal. You're going to see Kerry Collins get picked off here on the deflection. But he outperformed Flutie today. 240 yards passing and a touchdown. Wiley would run this one back inside the 10, set up a Bills touchdown that would give them the 17-16 lead. But Kerry Blanchard kicked 4 field goals, including the winner, 41 seconds to go from 48 yards out, Coach.
Well, the Giants deserve to win this one, but you got to thank one guy, and that's Wade Phillips. Wade Phillips on a 4th and 1 when he's only ahead by 1 point, went for it, and that allowed him to get beat by a field goal.
Here's how they stand. Colts with that 11-2 mark, and Miami, that was really helpful for them today. The Giants beating Buffalo to knock the Bills back to 8-5. Meanwhile, the Steelers have lost 5 straight. You saw one of the great performances in 1 quarter all season long happen in this game.
Tony Banks, he was cold at halftime. The guy comes out, has 7 touchdown passes in the last 2 weeks.
To say the least, home hasn't been sweet for Pittsburgh this year at 1-5.
I'm accountable. I'm accountable to get this football team ready to play, and for us to go out there and play with discipline, to play precise football. Right now, we're not doing it.
Here's what happened in that quarter. Ismail caught 3 touchdowns, 54, 59, and 76 yards in one quarter to lead the Ravens to the win. Browns fell to the Bengals for the second time this year. Corey Dillon, the story, 192 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns, Jerry.
Well, really, the story here was the Cleveland Browns also. They were just terrible on offense. 11 total yards running the football as compared to 283 yards. And I can't believe they continue to let their quarterback, Tim Couch, just get beat up. He got beat up again.
Just leave that alone. You're killing
I know. It's dying.
Cincinnati, by the way, has won 3 in a row, and they win for the final game played there at the old Riverfront. Redskins lead in the NFC East, and just poured it on in Arizona today.
First series of the game, Stephen Davis, 50 yards. Man, was I wrong about this one. I thought Arizona would show up. They stayed in Tempe and sent people in Santa Claus costumes to watch them to play as Cardinals, because Brad Johnson and that football team all day ripped them up. Here at Michael Westbrook, 25 yards. They win 28-3. It wasn't close.
And the embattled defensive coordinator there, Mike Nolan, holds them to a field goal today. Cowboys now go to 7-6. And, well, Emmitt Smith out with a groin pull after only 1 carry. Warren stepped in for him.
And did a great job, and the defense still playing extremely well. They'll have to play the rest of the year without Greg Ellis, who has been one of their top defensive linemen, out with a broken leg.
Dallas undefeated at home. They're a game back of Washington. So are the Giants. And that was a huge loss for Arizona, ending a 4-game win streak. Rams have won 5 in a row. They were 0-8 in their division a year ago. This season, 8-0. Same old formula, Warner and Marshall Faulk and company. And Carolina won on the final play of the game. 1 second to go, actually.
This one was back and forth. Here at 21-17, Brett Favre hits Donald Driver to go up by 4 points. Carolina would take a 3-point lead, and then they go back. The Packers do on Henderson's touchdown. Steve Berline, though, on a quarterback keeper after reversal.
6-6 ball game, 4 field goals as we get set for the start of the second half. Miami and the Jets. The Dolphins losers 3 of their last 4. They lost a heartbreaker last week at home to Indianapolis, having also been bounced by Dallas on Thanksgiving Day. And they desperately need this victory. Here is John Hall's kick, and Brock Marion at the goal line. Marion spilled as he gets out to the 33-yard line, and Dan Marino and the Dolphins come out with a first down and 10 at their own 33. Has it been, in your mind, the battle of field position so far?
Yeah, it has, and it's been, I think, a good thing for the New York Jets the way they're playing this game. This is the only way they can win this thing. Is it's got to be low scoring, close to the vest, and don't turn over the football. And so far the Jets are doing a pretty good job of that, although you see they have the 1 turnover. Let's face it, for the Miami Dolphins, though, they got some help today from the New York Giants in beating the Bills. They got to capitalize.
Handoff goes to Pritchett, and there's not much there. He picks up a yard to the 34. And we go down on the field to Bonnie Bernstein.
Just checked in with Bill Parcells. He said, quote, defense good, drop touchdown pass, fumbled kickoff, not good. Offensively, he said, we're running enough to get by, but not enough to make an impact. I need to see better flow, better balance for my offense. Vern.
All right, Bonnie. Sounds like the coach of the Jets was terse.
Well, and that's been his mantra week in and week out. This is the Jets offense, after the loss of Vinny Testaverde, hasn't been a juggernaut.
Marino, that's knocked down in the line of scrimmage. Batted down by Anthony Pleasant, number 98.
Well, we saw the first half end with a batted pass. Darian Booth got it. This time it's Anthony Pleasant. And again, the same old story. You know, the guys who end up knocking down passes and making a quarterback look bad are the guys that get blocked and don't get off the line of scrimmage. It's a real catch-22 for an offensive lineman. You stuff your guy, you don't let him leave the line of scrimmage, and he sticks up his hand and knocks down a pass.
3rd and 8. Here comes the blitz from the Jets. That one put on a frozen rope, and it's caught out at the 46-yard line by Yatil Green. A gain of 11, first down, Miami.
And every week, Jimmy Johnson is watching Yatil Green become more and more of a contributor. Just a simple hook pattern, and you see Victor Green just a little late getting there. But again, look at this pass by Dan Marino. Right there. Excuse me, that's Aaron Glenn, not Victor Green. 31 instead of 21. Aaron Glenn with the coverage. But Yatil Green more and more getting into the flow of this Miami offense.
11-yard pickup on the first down. Marino drops back and goes left side again for Drayton. And Victor Green is there defensively. The catch made by Troy Drayton, the tight end.
There was a lot of question after that performance, 5 interceptions in Dallas on Thanksgiving Day, about the arm strength of Dan Marino. But I think that look of that tight spiral coming right at you, the velocity is still there, the speed is there. Dan had to come all the way over to the sidelines.
Now they're stretching the chain and measuring on the far side of the field, so he had a bit of a break.
He had a question rather than just, hey, let me tell you, Dan doesn't run all the way to the sidelines unless it's important. He's 38 years old, and you just don't hustle over there for no reason whatsoever.
You get a little slack at this point in your career.
If he'd have been happy with what he was hearing through those speakers, he wouldn't have budged an inch.
Second and a smidgen.
Now, I guarantee what's going through Dan's mind right now. I know if he was calling the plays, what this would be. He would air it out. You get second and short, man, this is a quarterback's dream. Take a chance and go for the big one.
Yatil Green and Tony Martin both come to the right side. Conrad and Pritchett in the backfield. Handoffs. Stanley Pritchett, that's good for the first down. A yard pickup to the 43-yard line. Dwayne Gordon with the tackle. Now let's bring you up to date in the AFC East. The Colts win for the 9th consecutive week. They go to 11-2. Miami gets a big break as the Giants knock off Buffalo in the last minutes of that game. So Buffalo falls to 8-5. New England now at 7-6, and the Jets at 4-8.
And you pretty much concede the division now to the Colts. And they're playing for wild card spots. They're playing to host a wild card game. But it looks to me like Indianapolis is going to walk away with ease.
On first down, Marino across the middle. Yatil Green has it slip through his hands. That one should have been grabbed.
Hard to deliver it any better than Dan did right there. You know, in essence, this is Yatil Green's rookie season. Even though he was drafted 3 years ago, missed both his first and his second seasons after catastrophic knee injuries. And Jimmy Johnson told us to expect him to make the mistakes that rookies make. It's just, you know, he was their #1 pick in '97 out of the University of Miami, but he'll make the mistakes that kids make, and that was one.
Second and 10. Pritchett comes right, finds resistance, and is cut down by Dwayne Gordon, number 54. 125 yards given up in the first half today.
And look at last week, 291 yards. And I would not, I don't want to be critical of the New York Giants, but I wouldn't call them an offensive juggernaut to get bombed the way the Jets did by the Giants. That was stunning.
Third and 10. Marino comes right, looks for Conrad, and throws it away. Now this time, of course, he was outside the tight end box, and James Ferrier was there to make contact. Jimmy Johnson now pleading with a call of roughing the quarterback.
Well, when the quarterback leaves the pocket, he's a running back. And unless he goes into a hook slide, there's no red cross on his jersey, and there's no Hail Mary hanging over his head. This is a case where, I'm sorry, you're outside the pocket, and unless you decide to sit down on the seat of your pants, that's why they wear shoulder pads and a helmet.
So the drive ends at the 43. Here is Tommy Hutton way up in the air. And Dedrick Ward. How do you enjoy your near muffs? With a cup of coffee.
Here's Dedrick Ward showing that you can catch a football with any part of your body. No offense to Suzanne Summer, but that is a real thigh master there. As long as it doesn't hit the ground.
Curtis Martin knocked down at the 11-yard line by Robert Jones, number 52. Tonight on CBS, from the Hallmark Hall of Fame, 2 children in need of a home find a place in one woman's heart. Patty Duke, Laura Dern, and Lynn Redgrave star in the Hallmark Hall of Fame presentation, A Season for Miracles. That is tonight on CBS. Big loss, Curtis Martin back to the 11-yard line. It's 2nd down and 15. And this one of those rare occasions this afternoon where the Jets have not had good field position. Martin slips through behind the Markavy center out to the 13-yard line. Robert Jones, number 52, with another tackle. Now look at the position from which they started in the first half. 45-32, the Miami 36, and then another opportunity at the Miami 33.
And to come out of that extraordinarily good field position with only 6 points, somewhat disappointing for Bill Parcells and his team. They owned the field position battle in the first half and really didn't milk it for all it was worth.
Lucas with a play fake, flips it out to Martin. He's out there with Patrick Surtain, and he is tackled at the 21-yard line. That will bring up a 4th down. The stop made by Lorenzo Bromell, number 91.
Well, he's going to get his big rookie right tackle, Ryan Young, number 74, out in front of him. Young throws his guy, Trace Armstrong, to the ground. But when you get out there, hit somebody, try to find somebody. Ryan Young, that time, number 74, made the all-good-looking team as he kind of strolled through there. The object, though, is to strike somebody when you get out there.
Tom Tupa's punt, not a good one. Takes a bounce at the 45, picked up by Jack Kemp. He's across the 50. He's loose at the 30 and is knocked out of bounds by Tom Tupa at the 25-yard line. A 33-yard return for Nate Jaquette.
And it's all because of the bad punt. A low line drive, one hopper right to Jaquette. And this is all set up because of the fact Tupa just didn't get anything into that punt whatsoever. Good blocking up front, no doubt about it. But that's all set up by the fact that not long after Tupa touched off that punt, Jaquette has it.
Tom Tupa is 2nd in the league in net punt return average at 38 yards. That is the longest punt return against New York this season. Now at the 25, Marino hands it off to Pritchett, who comes right and picks up a couple to the 21-yard line. Well, we talked about field position, and look what has happened to Miami today. They've had it any number of times, but this only the 2nd time they've been able to start inside Jet territory.
A lot of owns in front of them, and not a lot of long. You know, the opening one, they open up with that 13-play drive, but other than that, a lot of 3s and 4s and 5s. Dan Marino likes to string together more 9 or 10-play drives than they've had.
Play fake, Marino. That one caught at the 15-yard line by Tony Martin. Came in as the leading receiver with 51 catches for the year, and that's his first catch today.
Dan Marino working the left side of the field. Does this ball get touched? That sure does. Right there you saw a good look that Marvin Jones altered the flight of that ball by getting a hand on it. But Dan still had enough juice on it that it still finds its way. Watch Marvin Jones, 55, right there. Wow, it's not often that you'll see a guy hit a football like that, and it still finds its way to the guy that it was intended for. That was, again, a testament to the velocity of Dan Marino.
And while they came out to measure, we got a bulletin for you. Dan strolled over to the sideline again.
Well, he's, maybe he's just trying to stay in shape.
Could be.
He's not trying to stay warm. I'll tell you that. It is unseasonably mild here at the Meadowlands for the middle of December.
Shirt sleeve weather.
And there's no wind. These weather conditions are really favoring the Dolphins.
He has thrown 69 touchdown passes against the Jets. They'll hand it off this time. Here's Pritchett. A yard to the 14-yard line. Anthony Pleasant with a tackle, number 98. Marino has thrown more touchdown passes and for more yardage against the Jets than any other quarterback has ever thrown against an opponent. Gaudy numbers, career-making numbers for many guys who play in the league for 5 or 6 years. There it is. That's against one team.
It is hard to believe, isn't it? But then again, when you've thrown for over 60,000 yards, at what point in time do you just stop being amazed and almost take it for granted? Let's not ever do that with Dan Marino.
2nd down and 9. Across the middle, Drayton spins, reaches out, and does not get the touchdown. The spot will come just at the 1-yard line. A gain of 13, Mo Lewis with the tackle.
Well, Troy Drayton has always been the complete package. The Dolphins got him back in '96, a trade with the Rams. A good blocker, not a great blocker, but he's better than average as a receiver. Good in space, good hands, a good locker room guy. And that was one of the better trades that the Dolphins have made in the '90s when they got Drayton.
On 1st down, the handoff to Pritchett. Driving at left tackle. Touchdown!
Well, it all started with the low line drive punt from Tupa. Jaquette with the good return. And now it's just a case that Miami took advantage of the good field position. And for one of the few times today in a drive by either team, we didn't have dropped passes. It was a good and a well-executed drive by the Dolphins.
Damon Heward will hold. Olindo Mare will try and add the extra point. Ed Perry is the snapper. Not the best snap in the world, but a nice hole by Heward. The extra point is up and good. Pritchett gets it from 1 yard out, and the blessings of the father who accompanies the team.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl. IBM, are you ready for e-business? And by the new redesigned Saturn S Series.
Keyshawn Johnson getting a bit of a rest on the Jet bench. 13-6 Miami. Pritchett now with 16 carries. That equals the number of carries he had coming into this season, and Johnson might be favoring that right knee.
Looks like he's got an ice pack on his right knee as he sits on the bench. Of course, when you play on artificial, there's a look at him. I don't know if that's a heat pack or an ice pack, as I do not possess X-ray vision. But it's not unusual to have a bruised up knee when you play on artificial turf. This field is awfully hard.
Mare's kick taken by Aaron Glenn. Tries to spin out of a tackle and is knocked down at the 23-yard line. Stop is made by Audrey Denson, number 21. Jets have it. 6:43 to go, 3rd quarter. We invite you to spend a few moments with Larry Izzo at the office, number 53. That's how you make a name for yourself on special teams. Here is Lucas in trouble. Darts out, puts it down, and is tackled at the 18-yard line.
And all of a sudden, we're starting to see an intensity and a demonstrative effort by the Jets defensively now. And Ray Lucas gets up hopping around a little bit. The pocket collapses. Initially, Ray has a look. He really has pretty good vision downfield. Where Ray makes his first mistake, Vern, is that he gives ground going backwards. And that brings in the guys who come around the corner. Tim Bowen's back there, but Ray Lucas took a hit at the end of that and came up limping.
This is Curtis Martin in motion. Lucas goes deep left side for Keyshawn Johnson. Diving try, got it. Contact made with Sam Madison, and Johnson is able to make the catch for a gain of 26.
Well, as is so often the case, the Miami corners are locked up one-on-one in press coverage, and Sam Madison, the best of the group, is really in good position with Keyshawn Johnson. Look at the hand fighting. This is the way big boys play football, and that is just a perfectly delivered football from Ray Lucas. And once again, Keyshawn, for the second time today, catches a ball with his left hand.
Here's the fake toss, and Lucas fires it out. Another one-handed grab by Keyshawn Johnson at the 49-yard line. And let's jump back across the Hudson. Here is Jim Nance in our New York studios.
All right, thank you, Vern. Finally, Seattle has come back to take the lead. John Kitna with the touchdown pass, 14 yards. He fires it to Derek Mays, and they're up 3, 6:25 to go in the third. Let's go back to Vern and Dan.
All right, thank you, Jim. 13-6 is the score here. 2nd down and 5 after that 5-yard grab by Keyshawn Johnson. He had 10 catches against the Giants last week, 8 for the afternoon.
That tied his career high, and that may be in jeopardy this afternoon.
Draw play. Curtis Martin met at the 50. Tackled at the 49. Monday on CBS begins with The King of Queens, starring Kevin James and Jerry Stiller, followed by Ladies' Man. Then it's Monday's #1 comedy, Everybody Loves Raymond. Don't miss this hysterical all-new Christmas episode, followed by Becker, starring Ted Danson, and an all-new Family Law. That is the Monday night lineup on CBS. 3rd and 2, just inside the 48. Officially, that would make it the 47-yard line with 4:18 to go, 3rd quarter. Lucas looking left, in trouble. Being chased, has room to run. Heads for the sideline and is out of bounds with a first down just inside the 40, a gain of 7.
Well, as we've seen repeatedly today, Ray Lucas is able to buy himself extra time, and now I think for about the 3rd time today, able to leave the pocket and actually pick up a first down. He actually went much faster than that. But Ray Lucas realizes that when he breaks that contain out there, that he, because of this man coverage played so often by Miami, that he's going to get a lot of yardage until they realize he's left the pocket.
I live in fear of the dreaded glitch. Here is Martin, bangs his way. A flag accompanies him to the ground. He is down at the 34-yard line. Tackle made by Brock Marion. Hockley says this is coming back.
And I am a dreaded glitch. I don't care.
Well, we're in this leaky canoe together.
Holding, offense, number 71. 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
That's Kerry Jenkins, the left guard for the Jets. Here he is right here, lined up next to Jumbo Elliott. And he pulls. He's going to lead up through the hole. And, of course, meeting him there is Zach Thomas. And he gets the left arm out a little bit as far as holding goes. That one's kind of tepid.
Tepid.
Yeah, it was not a... Zach Thomas was really kind of driving through Jenkins, and he got his left arm out there. More often than not, that type of a block won't get called.
That is the first penalty against the Jets today. And it sets up a 1st and 20 at the 50. Martin with a good block. Keyshawn Johnson going at it with Sam Madison, and there is contact, but no flag thrown.
Well, that's because Sam Madison had position. Sam Madison had inside position on Keyshawn Johnson on a ball thrown to the inside. We've got a Miami player injured, though, back at the line of scrimmage.
Jason Taylor, number 99, the defensive end. So while they tend to the injured player, time has been called. 13-6, Miami.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by AT&T One Rate 7-cent plan. One simple rate all day, every day. And by Bolo Wines of Italy. Open up.
We are back, and Jason Taylor continues to get attention down at the 40-yard line. The defensive end of the Miami Dolphins.
There he is up heading. This is Jason Taylor right over here on this side. He's going to throw his foot out in front of him to try to stop his upfield progress right there. And you could see him immediately pull his right leg up off of the ground as it was out there kind of awkwardly. Can't tell if it's an ankle or a knee. But the most athletic of the defensive ends for the Dolphins, what a great motor. And they can't. They're going to they're going to seriously miss Jason Taylor if he doesn't get back in the lineup.
Trace Armstrong takes his spot. Here's Lucas with pressure going right, and he fires it for Keyshawn Johnson, who's out of bounds after the contact made at the 41-yard line. Terrell Buckley with the tackle. Well, what a day it has been for Keyshawn Johnson so far.
A little bit of everything, Vern. A lot of fine catches. There's that left-handed snag to get the game started. This is the one he's still haunted by, the sure touchdown that he drops. And then another time, locked up with Sam Madison, he ends up making a fine left-handed grab. And Keyshawn Johnson today, active to say the least, Vern.
9 receptions, 94 yards. It's 3rd down and 11 from the 41. Lucas fakes the ball play, goes deep off his back foot. That one woefully underthrown, and it limps down at the 15-yard line.
Somebody could have fair caught that.
Whew.
You seldom see a pass more unattractive than that.
Jason Taylor being taken immediately to the locker room and favoring that right ankle, it would appear. Now Tupa on 4th and 11 to punt for the 4th time. Nate Jaquette hurries onto the field. That one comes back this direction, but it is down inside the 20. 2:33 to go, 3rd quarter. Dolphins lead by 7.
Jag goes back in time to a Christmas past when the USO brought cheer to our troops and anything was possible.
It's Christmas Eve. Everybody should have something.
A special Jag Tuesday.
Kevin Mawai and Kerry Jenkins, offensive linemen, on the jet bench. And now 1st down and 10. Here is Marino with modest numbers so far, only 133 yards. You see the play selection identical for both clubs. Autry Denson gets the carry, and a flag is thrown at the line of scrimmage. Holding Miami.
Holding, offense, number 61, half the distance to the goal. Repeat 1st down.
Tim Ruddy is guilty of the hold. Let's check in with Bonnie Bernstein.
All right, Vern, Jason Taylor had tears streaming down his face as he was being taken off to the cart into the locker room. The diagnosis on him, an aggravated ankle sprain, questionable to return. Vern.
Thank you, Bonnie. Penalty marked off inside the 10. 1st and 18. Conrad and Autry Denson in the backfield behind Marino. Batted down by Mo Lewis, number 57.
That's the 3rd batted ball today. Dorian Booz got one. Anthony Pleasant got one. And now Mo Lewis decides to get in on the action. And again, he's effectively blocked at the line of scrimmage. He's still a couple yards away from Dan Marino. But see, this is effort. This is just effort and being smart and timing it out.
And that leaves us with a 2nd down and 18. Marino diving try, the catch made at the 31-yard line by Yatil Green. And that's going to be enough to give Miami a 1st down and 10, a gain of 23 yards.
Boy, and what a beautiful pass by Dan Marino, because the linebackers are both back into their hook zones. He's got Marvin Jones, who's short. They see Marvin, number 55, and he drops it right over the top of Jones. You can't throw that thing on a line drive. You got to arc it over, and that's just a beautiful piece of work by Marino.
Backs in the eye, and Autry Denson gets the handoff, comes over right tackle, and runs into Dorian Booz, number 97. Final minute and a half, 3rd quarter.
Dorian Booz from Washington State, the defensive leader of that Washington State Rose Bowl team. Of course, quarterbacked by A man who's become no stranger to controversy in the National Football League.
Trying desperately to turn over a new leaf.
That he is.
And not succeeding thus far. Marino, 156. Tony Martin in motion over to the left side. Marino incomplete at the 45. Intended for Yateel Green. Really a remarkable story. It reminds me, Dan, a little bit of the travails of Mike Sherrard. Remember, he suffered 2 broken legs.
That's right.
As the #1 draft choice of the Cowboys out of UCLA. And Yateel Green with 2 extremely serious knee injuries.
And after the second one, you're thinking that it's just never going to happen for him. Both of them in training camp, he never even got to play in a regular season football game. You always root for somebody that's able to come back from that because you know how hard it is.
On 3rd down, Marino intercepted. Picked off by Aaron Glenn.
What was I thinking? Aaron Glenn is all over this pattern. And Aaron Glenn gets his 3rd interception of the year. Aaron Glenn getting his 3rd pick of the year right there, and he's just sitting short and steps right in front. And Dan Marino, you seldom see him make a throw into coverage like that.
1st down and 10 after the turnover, just inside the 40. Richie Anderson sets up right side. Lucas with a play fake. Incomplete, knocked away from Keyshawn Johnson by Sam Madison. They are having quite a battle today. And exchanging congratulatory notes, I'm sure.
Dan's going to take a look at the pictures and look at the coverage, but throws right into double coverage, and of course that's a doomed pattern with the corner sitting underneath.
2nd and 10. Lucas settles for Quebec, the short man, and they get enough for the 1st down at the 26-yard line. Patrick Surtain with a tackle. That's a pickup of 13.
I don't think that's a fair thing to say just because Keyshawn is taller than he is. Does it come to that? You just
no, he's a man of average
Quebec, the short man. There's the short man catching the pass, getting by Terrell Buckley, who loses him when Wayne breaks to the middle, and then when he breaks back to the sideline. An active receiver.
Yes, 'tis.
With a large heart. Not tall in stature.
Lucas back. Into the end zone for Keyshawn Johnson. Overthrown by a couple of yards. Let's go back and take a look at the Crevette catch.
Is that his belt? What? Oh no, it's his hand warmer. It's a hand warmer.
Oh, easy for you to say.
No, wait. That's a hand warmer that Wayne Crevette wears around the middle, and Terrell Buckley had a hold of that thing, and it stretched about.
I thought he was trying to make a slingshot out of it.
Oh, Mike Arnold, Lance Barrow, our director and producer. Nice job giving us that look, guys.
Lucas across the middle, incomplete. We have reached the end of 3. Miami leads it by 7. And we'll return to Giant Stadium right after this word from your local station.
Take you where the action is. Call 1-800-NFL-9919 today to apply and receive a free NFL football.
Let's go back to this completion. Take a look again. That's Terrell Buckley holding on to the hand warmer of Wayne Crevette and ripping it off. And you know, you become more than just acquaintances when you have your hands in another guy's hand warmer like that. You're not allowed to wear tearaway jerseys in this league, but obviously those things rip right off.
Looks like flag football. Here's Lucas on 3rd down. And he's got Johnson, and Johnson will stroll in for the touchdown. For Keyshawn Johnson.
Well, there's Keyshawn in motion, and again hiding him in the slot, letting him work underneath the crossing pattern by Wayne Crabett. And Sean Wooden is just in a trail position all the way across. And I don't know that you're going to find a safety in this league that's going to be able to stay with Keyshawn as he comes all the way underneath a clearing pattern run by Crabett like that.
John Hall for the extra point. Keyshawn Johnson ties a career high with his 10th catch of the afternoon. Lucas with the touchdown throw. Second week in succession, Keyshawn Johnson with 10 catches. And this time it completes a 26-yard throw and catch from Ray Lucas. And we're tied at 13. John Hall. Brock Marion is the deep man, moves up and grabs it at the 10-yard line. Marion knocked down at the 26-yard line. The tackle made by Bernie Parmalee, number 34. Well, a doubleheader for you next Sunday on CBS. The Miami Dolphins back home, and the game most of you will watch in the first game of the doubleheader. They host the San Diego Chargers, and in game 2, the Jets go into Dallas. Others of you will see Seattle and Denver. That's the doubleheader next Sunday, and it begins with Jim, Craig, Randy, and Jerry on the NFL Today.
The Dolphins are confused here, Vern. They had a dozen people out there on the field.
Yatil Green hurries off to make them legal, and Marino goes deep across the middle, tipped by Marcus Coleman, and incomplete. It was intended for Gadsden.
I tell you what, how many times do you see it where there's confusion at the beginning, you got the wrong personnel package on the field, and it ends up in disaster. And that is almost what happens here, is Danny really tries to force this ball in. Marcus Coleman has this pattern smothered. Gadsden has no chance at that. And Dan Marino, very fortunate that wasn't intercepted.
Second down and 10. Yatil Green comes left. Gadsden in the slot. And Tony Martin is wide right. Jets bring Dwayne Gordon. Marino goes deep, incomplete. Roughly in the vicinity of Yatil Green.
Well, the one thing we know that Dan Marino is seeing is a different look thrown at him by this guy, Bill Belichick. This guy comes up with a game plan. There's no rhyme, reason, or rhythm to what he does defensively. He changes it every week. Dan Marino knows it and said, I gave up a long time ago trying to figure out whether I'm going to get zone, whether I'm going to get man, whether I'm going to get blitz. Bill Belichick changes it every single week.
Here comes the blitz. Flags down, so this will be a dead ball penalty.
This is a false start. I think Richmond Webb came out of there early, along with a host of others.
Before the snap, false start, offense, number 78, 5-yard penalty. It's still third down.
Richmond Webb, who famously came out of his shoe last Sunday in the loss to Indianapolis, as the Colts were inside the 20. They had to call timeout to let him fix the shoe.
And that timeout, when Orlando Mare kicked the field goal that tied the game, allowed Indianapolis to still have 36 seconds left on the clock. And they, of course, made the most of that with a game-winning field goal.
Marino has missed his last 5 passes in succession. Goes deep left side for Conrad, incomplete. James Ferrier was stride for stride with the rookie fullback out of the backfield.
That was an outstanding defensive series by the Jets. Rob Conrad's got pretty good speed, but he's not going to run away from James Ferrier. Ferrier almost in the position of looking like the intended receiver, as he was a stride ahead of Conrad. The only way that had been completed is if it had been an underthrown ball.
Tommy Hutton sends it deep. Dedrick Ward grabs it at the 35. Ward to the 42-yard line. 14:21 remaining in this one. And we are tied at 13.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Merrill Lynch. There's a new way to work with Merrill Lynch any way you want. The world's fastest shaver, Panasonic Sonic Shaving. Get up to speed. And by Ford F-Series. The best-selling trucks are built Ford tough.
14:21 remaining, a 13-13 ball game. Miami had taken the lead at 13-6, and then Keyshawn Johnson with the catch to tie it up. Miami 4-1 in games decided by 3 or less, and the Jets have dropped 3. First down and 10. Play fake to Lucas. Going deep for Johnson. He's stride for stride with Surtain. Monday on CBS, the King of Queens will take his Christmas bonus and invest online. Will he make big Yuletide bucks or get Scrooged? Don't miss an all-new King of Queens Monday on CBS.
How about Bill Parcells and his play calling for the Jets so far? He is really being aggressive. You know, Bill took over the play calling early in the season. On first down, you got a guy like Curtis Martin. You've got a pretty good ground game, and he's putting the ball in Ray Lucas' hands an awful lot.
This time a straight drop back by Lucas, the ball a little high, but the catch made by Fred Baxter, the tight end, in front of Brock Marion.
And a rarity there that somebody other than Keyshawn involved in the Jets passing game. Before that play, look at that, 120 yards in receiving for Keyshawn Johnson prior to that completion to Baxter. The Jets had 169 passing yards altogether. I would say that's one guy kind of dominating the scene.
3rd and 4. They hand it off to Curtis Martin, and a nifty little cutback. That's a first down at the 41-yard line. A gain of 9 for number 28.
And again, I think Bill, in his play calling, making it look like, again, it's another Lucas pass. And then on the draw, giving it to Curtis Martin. Boy, there's a good block by Kevin Mawai, number 68. But right now, it's because of Bill's aggressiveness in letting Ray Lucas throw this football. I think it's got Miami's defense a little bit unsure of itself.
Dedrick Ward heads wide to the left side. Play up, they hand it off to Martin this time, and he breaks through the 40 down at the 38-yard line. The tackle is made by Brock Marion, number 31.
Now keep in mind, right now, Miami likes to rotate their defensive linemen in and out of the ball game, and they're a little restricted because they lost Jason Taylor. You see Curtis Martin has not had much going on today. 16 rushes for 39 yards, not a lot of work. But you're having to look at Gardner and Bowens and Trace Armstrong and Rich Owens and these guys. They're having to go in there without their normal rotation with the absence of Taylor.
2nd and 6. Martin with Eric Green trying to lead the way, going left. Not much going on that play. Down at the 39. Zach Thomas, Rich Owens with the stop. Under 12. Tonight on 60 Minutes, the Pentagon doesn't want to talk about it, but 60 Minutes does. Gays in the military. That's tonight on 60 Minutes, followed by a powerful all-new Touched by an Angel, then Hallmark Hall of Fame. A Season of Miracles, starring Patty Duke, Laura Dern, and Lynn Redgrave. That's tonight's lineup on CBS. 3rd and 7.
Right about.
Lucas comes right. Nice catch. And the catch is made at the 32.
I think that's short, Vern.
Dedrick Ward with the grab and Surtain defending.
It depends on the chains, which are on the far side of the field. But it appears that the pattern that Ward runs here comes up short of this sideline marker. Now keep in mind, this may not be accurate. But where Dedrick Ward stepped out of bounds looked to be a foot or two short of it. Take one more look at it from the end zone. Straight forward, Ray Lucas looking at him all the way. But you can see right there, he stepped out short of that plastic marker, but that doesn't count, only the chains, and here they come. Well, look how accurate that marker is. That's a good piece of work by the chain gang crew, giving the receivers and everybody. That's an accurate look at what you needed for a first down. Ward's momentum such that he just couldn't get upfield any farther, and he was trying hard to get that other foot down to demonstrate that he was inbounds making the catch.
Now Bill Parcells will go for it for the season, 9 of 21.
Well, you'd be looking at what, a 50-yard field goal term. So I think when you start talking about a field goal, it starts with a 5. Why not go for it?
Martin is the deep back. Corbett starts in motion. They give it off to Curtis Martin, and he breaks through to the 24-yard line. Zach Thomas with the tackle, 1st and 10, Jets.
I am really impressed with this offensive line of the New York Jets. Keep in mind, they've got 2 rookies on their right-hand side. Of course, they got a tight end in Eric Green that's bigger than most offensive tackles. But Ryan Young and Randy Thomas on the right-hand side, a couple of rookies. Kevin Mawai, Kerry Jenkins, and of course Big John Elliott, the veteran on the other side.
Where you going?
You just don't see a lot of production from offensive lines with a pair of rookies side by side.
Jets spread the backfield again, or spread the field. And here is Lucas, caught by Corbett. A flag is down. 2 flags, one at the 31, one at the 17.
And is that Ray Lucas on the ground?
It is.
Ray Lucas on the ground, and you could see him say, don't help me up, don't touch me. Daryl Gardner was talking to Ed Hockley. Let's look at the conclusion of this play. Oh, and he took a shot, a helmet, right to the face mask by Daryl Gardner. That helmet-to-helmet hit is, I'm going to speculate what drew the flag from Ed Hockley. That is the type of hit that from which concussions emanate.
There were fouls by both teams on the play. Personal foul, roughing the passer by the defense, number 92, had contact with the helmet. There was also an illegal block in the back by the offense, number 20. The penalty's offset. Replay, first down.
Well, the other call was against Richie Anderson. Now, this is after the pass was completed, and you can see he just jams Brock Marion in the back and knocks him down. This is well after Wayne Corbett. But here's what matters right here because of the fact that Ray Lucas is still down. Daryl Gardner catches Ray Lucas right on the face mask, right around the chin area. And anything even close to a helmet-to-helmet hit draws a flag, and of course there's Rick Meyer warming up.
Time has been called. Ray Lucas walked off the field unaided and is on the sideline. Rick Meyer, who started much of the season after Vinny Testaverde went down with the Achilles tendon injury in the first game of the season, is in. Curtis Martin on 1st down and 10. And Ray Lucas comes back on the field after a 1-play absence.
Well, Ray appears, at least outwardly, to be none the worse for wear. The one good news, when we watched the replay, you didn't see that violent snapping back of his head when he was hit in the face mask by Daryl Gardner. You didn't see that violent jerk.
Here's Lucas going deep left side for Johnson. In the end zone, touchdown!
I'd say Ray's all right.
I'd say the Jets have responded and played well.
And I'd say that Miami's defense in love with man coverage one-on-one. I think there's a limit to how much single coverage you can play against somebody like Keyshawn Johnson. And that's what we're looking at right here. Sam Madison is a great corner. But one-on-one all afternoon with Keyshawn Johnson is a losing proposition. I don't care who you are. Oh, and that bounced off the upright. Ooh, that could hurt.
A doink at the end of a great play.
On CBS is sponsored by Agilent Technologies, dreams made real, and by Volkswagen. On the road of life, there are passengers and there are drivers.
9:34 remaining in regulation. Keyshawn Johnson's second touchdown catch of the day. This one from 24 yards out. He has now caught a career high of 11 receptions for 144 yards. John Hall, who missed the extra point, will kick off. Short. Bounces at the 25. Marion at the 8-yard line. And Marion breaks the tackle of John Hall and returns it all the way out to the 47, but there's a flag.
Coming back. We have seen our share of flags here this afternoon. Let me rephrase that. We've seen more than our fair share of flags here this afternoon.
There's a flag on the other end of the field as well, Dan, at the 31-yard line.
Well, that can't mean much of anything other than offsides on the kickoff all the way back there at the 30. If the Jets were offside when they kicked it, and then the hold, we may get to watch this again.
There were fouls by both teams on the play. Offside on the kicking team, the left end. Number 42. By rule, that penalty is declined. There was also holding by the receiving team, number 83, during the return. That penalty is enforced 10 yards. Miami keeps the ball, first down.
One penalty deemed to be more important than the other, but in reality, it's a penalty that really works against Miami. Let's go back and take a look at the missed extra point. Good snap. Tom Tupa gets the ball down, but John Hall just pulls it to the left, and it grazes the upright and kicks away.
And after the penalty is enforced against the Dolphins, ball will be spotted inside the 20.
You know, that's one of those rules in the NFL rule book. Red Hockley said he's right in saying by rule that, but in reality, it doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? If there's a penalty on either team, I don't know. Miami ends up bearing the brunt of the penalty, even though the Jets committed one first.
Marino, incomplete at the 21. And let's revisit the Keyshawn Johnson touchdown.
Well, it's just single coverage, as we've seen most of today. Sam Madison working one-on-one with Keyshawn Johnson. Now, right there, Sam's in a trail position. Keyshawn broke away from him. Now, the ball from Ray Lucas, Keyshawn had to wait for it a little bit, but he just outfought Sam Madison for the football. And look at that afternoon that Mr. Johnson is having.
2nd and 10. Handoff, left side. Stanley puts it out near the 30-yard line. They will spot the ball at the 30. And Del Lee, number 35, makes the tackle.
This is the left side of the Miami offensive line. You're looking at Tim Ruddy there. He starts. He comes back into the middle. Locks up on Dwayne Gordon. Richmond Webb, Mark Dixon to the left side. And Stanley Pritchard. See, there's the fullback for you. Look how he covers up that football when he realizes he's going to be hit. He may be playing tailback today, but he's a fullback at heart. And he'll go back to that fullback position when Miami finds a healthy running back.
Gain of 12, first down out of the shotgun. Marino. Tony Martin makes the catch, and then is cut down by Marvin Jones. Now let's check in with Bonnie Bernstein.
Vern, Kevin Mawai told us that They had a great week of practice this week after getting blown out by the Giants last Sunday. After Keyshawn Johnson's last touchdown, he was very, very animated on the sideline. He said to his lineman, "We got to get the ball back. We're going after him. We're going for the kill."
All right, Bonnie, 8:02 to go in the ball game. A 6-point margin after the missed extra point. Draw play. Pritchett hit behind the line and driven down as Marcus Coleman comes up to complete the tackle started by Mo Lewis.
Well, if you can clog things up in the interior and force Stanley Pritchett to go sideways, then you have won the primary skirmish in the battle. Because Stanley Pritchett doesn't have the speed to break containment getting around to the outside. Again, this is a guy that really has had no running back, tailback experience in the NFL.
3rd and 7. Dolphins trail by 6. Marino across the middle, incomplete up near midfield. Aaron Glenn defending with help from Omar Stoutmire.
Pretty good look. Dan's able to set, able to throw down the field. Omar Stoutmire actually gets a hand on the football. Take it back, that's Aaron Glenn. But Aaron Glenn working the underneath. He's going, yeah, I got it. I got a little piece of it.
Here is Tommy Hutton's punt. Dedrick Ward grabs it at the 21. Out to the 32-yard line, a fumble. Jets ball.
He recovered it inbound. Right there.
You can hear the discussion there on the sidelines as to whether or not the ball was recovered inbounds or out of bounds.
And possession does remain with the New York Jets. At the 7-minute mark.
All right, Dedrick Ward does a nice job missing, making someone miss right there, but the ball loose. Let's see, is it recovered inbounds? It sure is. Fred Baxter, the tight end, number 84, comes up with it cleanly.
And so New York has a first down and 10 at the 29, exactly 7 to go.
Can you spell? Well, look at this. the minute I'm getting ready to say, can you spell grind it out, ball control, Curtis Martin, Bill Parcells continues to keep these guys off balance by allowing Ray Lucas to throw on first down.
Robert Jones of the Dolphins injured back at the 22-yard line. Richie Anderson's gain was 8 yards on the first down throw.
Again on first down, Ray Lucas back to throw. And it was actually Robert Jones that was the hitter that knocked Ray Lucas to the ground, and he was injured in the process. Jones, a middle linebacker his entire career with Dallas and with the St. Louis Rams, and then Jimmy Johnson gave him a shot to try to make this Dolphins team playing outside linebacker, and he has surprised everybody. He has really played an extremely solid game of football the last couple of years for Miami.
2nd down and 2. Draw play. Curtis Martin to the 40 and down. But that will move the chains and buy them a little time.
And what a great job of Curtis Martin being hit once, twice, and spinning without having a knee touch the ground to stop his forward progress. Boy, Curtis has had longer runs. He's had ones that maybe were flashier, but not many that were more productive than this. See, right there, he's got to fight through hand tackles, but look how he stays alive and keeps his knee off the ground just for that extra yard to pick up the first down.
From the 40, 1st and 10. And now they'll work on the clock as Martin stutter steps and moves it out near the 50-yard line. Sean Wooden with the tackle. Dolphins do have all 3 timeouts remaining, as do the Jets.
And this is very close to a 10-yard run for a first down. And it is. Ed Hockley signals. Well, that's a nice move right there. Really a good open field tackle by Sean Wooden. As Curtis Martin pretty quickly got past all the defensive line and linebackers. And all of a sudden, the Jets' running game starting to come to life.
Curtis Martin over 1,000 yards again this year. He joins 3 others as the only men to ever begin their careers with consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. And of course, Barry Sanders topped the list with 10. On first down, it'll be Martin. Hey, throw to the 47-yard line. And in the middle of the season, Curtis Martin had a streak of 4 100-plus yard games.
The Jets paid a high price for Curtis Martin to the New England Patriots, but Bill Parcells realized, I can't build a football team unless I can build it around a featured back. A durable back, a guy who's capable of big stuff. And Curtis Martin is a guy who's capable of big stuff. Now, what big stuff is, I'm not sure.
Quarterback draw! Not sure how you're going to define it. Incomplete. Stops the clock with 4:13 to go.
I defined it by that little 4-yard run he had to move the chains there, where he spun around and kept the drive alive.
Now let's check in with Bonnie Bernstein.
All right, 2 injury updates for you on the Miami side. Vern, Robert Jones has sustained a left rib injury. He'll probably be back in the game, but Jason Taylor is done for the day. He's icing down in the locker room with a sprained ankle. Vern?
All right, Bonnie. 3rd down coming up, and let's just think about the Dolphin dilemma now. They have dropped 3 of 4. This Dolphin team started out 7-1, looked like they were in cruise control. Went up and got smashed in Buffalo, defeated New England, but they've dropped back-to-back games on the road to Dallas and home to Indy, and they trail here. Lucas on 3rd down. Quebec, first down at the 30.
I continue to be impressed with the evolution and the maturation of Ray Lucas. He's a 3rd-year guy, but forget that. This is his 1st year of playing any productive quarterback in the National Football League. And every week we see him, he looks better than the week before. A little behind Wayne Corbett, but under pressure, a very acceptable pass.
First and 10 at the 30. 3.5 to go. Martin goes left. He is spilled at the 27-yard line. Robert Jones, Derek Rogers with the tackle.
And we posted those numbers for Ray Lucas, and you saw his 22 of 37, a couple of touchdowns. The critical number, no interceptions.
Came into this game having not thrown an interception in 92 passes, and time has been called now by the Miami Dolphins. They used 1 of their allotment of 3. Next Saturday, Pittsburgh at Kansas City, as Kansas City continues to chase Seattle. 12:30 Eastern time, and it begins with the NFL Today with this good-looking quartet next Saturday at 12 noon Eastern time. (19-13), 3:15 to go. 2nd and 7, Jets. And a reminder to all of you that 60 Minutes will be seen in its entirety coming up next, except on the West Coast, when it will be seen in its regularly scheduled time. 3:15 to go in the 4th, 2nd and 7. And Ray Lucas and the Jets have certainly answered some questions about themselves today.
Almost exclusively throwing the ball outside. And you know, under normal circumstances, a young quarterback, you'd think, hey, protecting the lead, all we're going to see is Curtis Martin. I think Bill Parcells has demonstrated he's not afraid to let Ray Lucas throw the football.
Here comes the blitz. Lucas gets rid of it, incomplete. Flag.
Flag comes way out of the secondary. Or one of the flags comes all the way out of the secondary. There are multiple flags here.
One at the 29 and the other at the 21. we await the results of this conversation. Here's that hockey league.
Offensive interference against the Jets. Illegal man downfield against the Jets. So it stops the clock. It backs you up.
Ineligible member of the offensive team downfield, number 71. That penalty is declined. There was also pass interference offense, number 86. That penalty is accepted, 10 yards. Repeat second down.
Eric Green, the tight end, lined up right over here. He's going to be flagged for the offensive interference. Where it happens, I can't tell you. You look and you look and you look. Either way, either one of those two penalties enough again to stop the clock and back you up.
And it gives New York a second down and 17 with 3:10 to go. Ray Lucas under Kevin Mawai. Back split. Lucas on a rollout. Chased by Zach Thomas. Incomplete down at the 22-yard line. Dedrick Ward was in the area.
Well, Dedrick Ward fell down. You know, Ray Lucas is looking at his receiver and he thinks he's got him, and Dedrick Ward, when he makes his break, ends up falling to the ground. So that's you can't pin this on Ray Lucas. Working there against Terrell Buckley. There's Ward as he tries to go back, and he just slips and falls. But again, an incomplete pass ends up working to Miami's benefit there as it stops the clock again.
3rd and 17. Draw play, Curtis Martin. Surges inside the 30, but that will be far short of the first down yardage needed.
No, but it gets them into field goal range.
Right.
And Miami takes another timeout here, but it gets the ball into John Hall field goal range. And when you're up by 6 points, right now we got a chance for John Hall and the Jets to force Miami to score twice if he successfully converts this field goal.
Dolphins used their second timeout to stop the clock with 2:56 left.
This would be a wonderful opportunity for John Hall to make up for that missed extra point that resulted in this 6-point lead.
Hall for the day, 2 of 3. Missed wide right from 47, and then pulled an extra point and had it carry him off the left upright. Tom Tupe is the holder. John Hudson the snapper.
Now he knows he pulled that extra point. Question is he going to try to sometimes you'll see a guy overcompensate after something like that and push it to the right.
John Hall from 46 yards out. Perfect. That enhances the lead.
It's a 2-score lead now for the New York Jets. Good snap, good hold by Tupa, and never a doubt about this one. There will be no doinks. And right now, the Miami Dolphins have to be a little shell-shocked. But you know something, Vern? Take last week's game for the Jets, and you almost have to throw it out the window. This is a team that played in last year's AFC Championship game, coached by one of the great coaches who's ever coached in this league. And doggone it, they have played their hearts out today. They have really played well.
Coming up tonight on CBS, the Pentagon doesn't want to talk about it, but 60 Minutes does. The gaze in the military tonight on 60 Minutes, followed by Touched by an Angel, and then the Hallmark Hall of Fame presentation. That's A Season of Miracles, starring Patty Duke, Laura Dern, and Lynn Redgrave. That's tonight on CBS. Well, Bill Parcells in his 15th year of coaching in the National Football League and was telling us on Friday he's only been embarrassed 5 times previously in his coaching career. Twice with the Giants, twice with New England, and last week with the Jets. I think they've redeemed themselves today. Here comes Brock Marion out to the 28-yard line. Tackle is made by Robert Farmer, number 25.
You know, it's not very often that I never played on a football team where I ever heard a coach use the word ashamed. I'm ashamed to be your coach. I'm ashamed of your effort. Those are stinging words. Much worse than someone yelling and screaming. And Bill was looking for a response from this team, and I think it's safe to say that he got one. Now, is this game over yet? Better believe not.
I think that's 13 at the quarterback spot, isn't it?
I think not.
Yeah. 1st and 10. Marino deep left side. Marcus Coleman with good coverage on Oronde Gadsden. Well, if the Dolphins lose, Indianapolis clinches the playoff berth. They won their 9th in a row, defeating New England earlier today. Miami, in the meantime, loses a tiebreaker to Buffalo because of Buffalo's sweep against these teams. So, in effect, they may have squandered a marvelous opportunity if they lose here today.
A rare thing if Miami loses. The 3 teams all jockeying for those wild card spots, all 3 of them will lose today.
Here's Marino left side, Gadsden in front of Coleman. That's good for a first down to the 41. A gain of 13 yards.
But how many times have we seen Dan Marino? Now he's hampered a little bit by only having 1 timeout left.
1st and 10 at the 40. Deep right side, Yatil Green popped. Oh boy, did he take a shot from Victor Green.
And that'll bring us to the 2-minute warning. They won't get a playoff here before the 2-minute warning. You won't see a harder hit than that. Nice job by Yatil Green of holding on to the football, if not his senses.
Jets lead by 9, 22-13, and a moment ago, Victor Green on Yatil Green.
Listen to this. Victor Green, as usual, the Jets' leading tackler. And there's tackling, and then there's striking a blow that you can feel in the upper deck. Not just hear it, but feel it.
1st and 10 from the 42, Marino in the shotgun. Throws it behind Oronde Gadsden. Well, we talked a little bit about the turnaround for the New York Jets today, Dan. What to make of the Miami Dolphins?
Well, can you spell struggling? Can you spell questioning? How good of a football team are we? And right now, the Miami Dolphins, I think, are really grappling. They're not as good as they thought they were. They opened up, what, a 7-1, and you know, on top of the world. And now Jimmy Johnson's got a football team that right now is wondering if they're even good enough to make the playoffs.
On 2nd down, Marino, right side, intercepted, picked off, and here we go. Omar Stoutmire has it. And he is cutting back to his right. Omar Stoutmire, touchdown. He scampered 67 yards.
Whether you're winning your 5th game of the year or your 15th game of the year, it's a feel-good moment. For the 2nd time today, Danny Marino throws one out in the flat. That's a pretty easy interception.
Well, John Hall's not having a memorable evening, or perhaps he is.
Memorable for all the wrong reasons.
Hall pulls it left again. But the significant play was that made by Omar Stoutmire.
Well, Dan's trying to make something happen but he's really trying to force the ball to Arondé Gadsden, who's bracketed front and back. And that is a real easy interception for Omar Stoutmeyer. See, look at that double coverage, front and back on Arondé Gadsden. And that's really kind of a surprise. I know Dan's trying to make something happen, but throwing into a guy that's bracketed front and back is a pretty low percentage prep position. And a guy you would suspect will be back as a head coach in the National Football League sometime in the near future. Bill Belichick continues to prove he's one of the great defensive coordinators in this game.
60 minutes seen in its entirety coming up next, except on the West Coast where you will see it at its regularly scheduled time. 28-13. Stoutmeyer, who played 2 years with the Dallas Cowboys where he had 14 starts, began this season with the Cleveland Browns. He was inactive for the first 2 games, waived and picked up by the Jets in October. Here's Brock Marion. Down at the 25-yard line. Tackle made by Robert Farmer. Damon Heward will replace Dan Marino. Heward, who started 5 games while Marino was out with the injury.
Went 4-1 in those 5 starts. And, you know, a concession that this game is lost. And why expose Dan Marino to any more of a beating than necessary?
And you saw the comparative graphic between the 2 quarterbacks. Ray Lucas, 2 touchdowns today, and he has now gone 130 passes without an interception. Here's Heward. Rob Conrad out to the 37-yard line. The tackle made by Aaron Glenn. And the clock continues to run. Jets up by 15. Incomplete. Intended for Conrad.
Well, who would have thought that the entire middle of the AFC East would have lost today? That Miami, Buffalo, and New England all get it handed to them today. And the winners are on the top and the bottom. Indianapolis and the Jets.
Second down. Heward. Caught by Conrad at the 50-yard line. Stoutmeyer with the tackle.
A piece of the turf here at the Meadowlands has come loose, and Ed Hockley is attempting to do his best to put it back in place. He's got to see how loose. I'm not sure they can play on that. I know they'd like to get this game over with. Yeah, he's explained to Damon rather. What do you think? Are you going to be able to do this? Damon's going, let's
let it go.
But Ed Hockley has the difficult assignment of they're going to change hash marks to try to get away from that seam. And that is a great idea. Ed Hockley has the responsibility here of not allowing these players to play under circumstances where somebody could get injured.
And the clock now begins its path downward. Here's Heward. Right side to Pritchett. Out of bounds to stop the clock with 46 seconds left. And again, 60 minutes will be seen in its entirety. We're 46 seconds away from the completion of this game. The Jets about to knock off Miami, and Ray Lucas about to go 3-3 as a starter for this New York Jet football team.
Vinny Testaverde will be back next year. Ray Lucas really started out this year thinking more along the lines of the third quarterback.
Pritchett to the 26-yard line. And James Ferrier with the tackle.
And Jimmy Johnson's Dolphins now faced with the unattractive prospect of losing 4 out of their last 5 games after a 7-1 start.
Hewitt across the middle, caught inside the 10. Nate Jaquette makes the stop.
And rather than going ahead and spiking the ball, the Dolphins end up burning their last timeout. They would have loved to have saved it in case they scored. This game has had a little bit of everything. Dan Marino looked, again, he had the terrible Thanksgiving with the 5 interceptions, but threw the ball pretty well today, but made a couple disastrous throws into the flat.
And again, a reminder of the menu for tonight on CBS. We'll begin with 60 Minutes. The Pentagon doesn't want to talk about it, but 60 Minutes does. Gays in the military, that's one of the topics tonight on 60 Minutes. Followed by a powerful all-new Touched by an Angel. Then the Hallmark Hall of Fame, A Season of Miracles. It stars Patty Duke, Laura Dern, and Lynn Redgrave. That is tonight's lineup on CBS. And what a tortured path has been taken by the Miami Dolphins. 7-1 halfway through the season. And they are about to go 8-5. Heward, Gadsden, touchdown with 17 seconds remaining.
Well, just a soft touch by Damon Heward. Marcus Coleman loses track of the football. I'm not sure what pattern Coleman was expecting, but I believe Bill Parcells would like to talk to him about it when he gets over to the sidelines. I don't think you could have expected, if you're Marcus Coleman, for the ball to be thrown somewhere around the 1 yard. He's trying to explain his way out of this one. This could be a tough sell.
Parcells is buying.
No.
And that makes the margin 28-20. The Jets leading with 17 seconds to go. The executive producers of CBS Sports are Sean McManus and Terry Ewert. The coordinating director of the NFL on CBS, Larry Cavallina. Today's game produced by Lance Barrow, directed by Mike Arnold. The senior producer of the NFL Today is Eric Mann. The NFL Today directed by Bob Matina. The associate director of today's game, Andy Goldberg. Our associate producer, Carl Schlickspear. The broadcast associates are Fred Johnson and Mark Burghardt. And the technical director of today's game, Mitch Geller. And to the people in the booth, Santa Monica, Chuck Gardner, Chris Helen, and Nancy Lundquist are spotters. Thanks to all. Keyshawn Johnson. On the hands team.
Well, it's down to a 1-score ball game. A touchdown and an extra 2-point conversion would knock this thing. So technically it's not over yet.
Well, A Season of Miracles will be seen later tonight on CBS.
It's just, unfortunately, this is the season where recently we have seen a Dolphin swoon.
There's Murray, pops it up in the air. Loose ball, the scramble for it at the 49-yard line, and Mo Lewis takes it in.
That ball was in play longer than Bill Parcells would have liked to have seen. A couple different people had a shot at this one. It travels the 10. There's one, Karam. There's the second one. Wayne Crabette had it, actually hit it with both hands. And then finally it comes to Mo Lewis. Well, Bill Parcells, I think, at least for the week, has his question answered as to whether or not his team would show the effort that wasn't there last week. I'm not sure. I would not have wanted to be around Weeby Bank Hall this week if they rolled over and played dead like they did last week.
28-20 the final. The Jets go to 5-8, and the Dolphins fall to 8-5. And the up-to-date AFC East standings. Indianapolis clinches a playoff berth. They won for the 9th consecutive week today. Buffalo and Miami now at 8-5, although Buffalo has the tiebreaker. New England at 7-6, and Bill Parcells and the Jets are 5-8. 28-20 the final. Ray Lucas throws for 2. Keyshawn Johnson